Gather around, children. It's story time with your Uncle Jawbreaker. Today, I'm going to review a timeless classic for you all known as The Three Little Pigs. Just one in a very different style that you're used to.
Some of today's most celebrated stars: Edward James Olmos, Rosie Perez, Debbie Allen, and Cheetah Rivera come together in the animated event of the year.
The party's about to start.
And don't forget about the original Happily Ever After tales featuring the vocal talents of Whoopi Goldberg, Samuel L. Jackson, Will Smith, and Denzel Washington. Happily Ever After. Fairy tales for every child.
Happily Ever After was an HBO children's series that ran from 1995 to 2000, spawning 39 episodes. It took classic fairy tales and retold them in a more modernized look. One of the biggest things it had going for it was that each episode was voiced by a different group of big-name celebrities of the time period, and all 39 episodes was narrated by the late Robert Guillaume. Our featured episode is a more feminist retelling of The Three Little Pigs, which was episode 27 and the first episode of season 3. In our featured episode, some of the voices are Tyra Banks as Barbecue Pepper, Courtney Cox as Emerald Saltport, Sandra Oh as Breadcrumb, country singer Loretta Lynn as Deli Pork Chop, and Julie Brown as Lottie Baloney. No, I can feel you screaming at me over the video. That's how you say her name, Lottie Baloney, not Bologna. Something to keep in mind, the voice actresses, with the exception of maybe Courtney Cox, mirrored their characters in some way. So it was only befitting that Deli Pork Chop was a country singer, and in this case, a retired country singer who had a love for little piglets. So after retirement, she decided to open up a camp for little girls called Camp Piggywood.
My one regret, though, however, is I never had any little piglets of my own. Now that I've retired from singing, I've decided to open up Camp Piggywood.
The first pig to see Deli's commercial was Emerald Saltport, who came from a wealthy family. Emerald's problem was she didn't have any friends because she chased them all away. Whatever everybody else had, she had to have double the amount, and Camp Piggywood was just another popularity contest for her.
I want to go to Camp Piggywood and make lots of friends and become the most popular piggy in camp.
The second pig was the beautiful Barbecue Pepper, who grew to an enormous 400 plus pounds. If you paid close attention to her earlier on, you probably would get the sense that she didn't like herself very much. But because of her size, Lottie Baloney took interest in her. And that's how Barbecue became a model for pigs. So it is best to mention that the pig world is the opposite of the human world. In pig world, being big and dirty is more appealing than slim and clean, which is exactly what Barbecue Pepper became when she reached fame. She stopped overeating and started taking frequent baths. Lottie was pissed, so she sends Barbecue off to Camp Piggywood in hopes of saving her career.
Pigs aren't naturally dirty, you know. You have to work at it.
The last one was a pleasant and intelligent pig named Breadcrumb. She was a Vietnamese pot-bellied pig who walked the streets alone because she was an orphan, at least until the police discovered her, which is how Deli Pork Chop found out about her. Feeling sorry for Breadcrumb, she decided to offer her a full scholarship to her camp. So on opening day, with a low turnout, our three pigs finally arrived at Camp Piggywood. The first place they stop is the theater to learn all about the history of pigs. It's where we are soon introduced to our big bad wolf named Wolfgang. He was voiced by Sinbad.
I'm the one they call Prince Wolfgang. You know, you heard about me. So let me in, please let me in.
After being traumatized half to death, Deli ensures the girls that wolves are practically extinct. Information that later on becomes a bit misleading. Later on, after stuffing their faces and practically holding Barbecue hostage, who was apparently too hot for mud baths, the girls began their survival adventure, where they would have to go out into the woods and build their houses from anything they wanted. While the other girls struggled to figure out what they wanted to build their houses from, Emerald of course wanted to build her house from the jewelry she inherited for money. In her obsession to be better than everybody else, she broke into Deli's house and stole all of her wigs for the roof of her house. But it wasn't Deli she had to worry about. Wolfgang smelled pork and saw her house from a distance, and decided to come out of retirement and visit Camp Piggywood. He manages to con himself past security and find Emerald's home. When he couldn't get her out of her house, he decided to appeal to her ego by selling her something that nobody else had. But when he decided he didn't feel like waiting for her, vandalism was the next best thing to capturing her. Meanwhile, Barbecue finally decided what she wanted to make her house out of.
Ooh, I think I built my house out of cookies, cakes, and candy. And I'll have a built-in whirlpool mud bath. Ooh, très chic.
From a distance, Wolfgang could smell something sweet, and it wasn't Barbecue. It was her house. So our con artist Wolf decides to go after another pig, this time dressed as a guinea pig.
You know, I'm really sorry, but I don't think so. I've dated Porky and I've dated Babe. So you see, I'm really more comfortable with the celebrity types.
And when his scheme wasn't working, he made it seem like he was a celebrity to make her feel more comfortable. You gotta give the wolf credit. He might have not been an actual celebrity, but he was definitely a wolf of many talents. However, it was becoming pretty clear that self-control was not one of them.
Timber! Oh, I had to say that.
When Wolfgang got found out, he blinded her with a mask, causing her to hit not one, not two, but at least 3 trees before he caught her. It was now 2 down, 1 more to go. The last being Breadcrumb, who just figured out what she wanted her house made of. A house made of constituted rubber bricks would mean that her house was inexpensive and indestructible. And just as she started building, Wolfgang just started cooking. But he wasn't aware of Breadcrumb until Barbecue brought it to his attention.
Who's Breadcrumb?
She's our friend, a Vietnamese, pot-bellied pig.
It seems as though Barbecue thought she was doing Breadcrumb a favor based on her surprised reaction. She thought Wolfgang wouldn't be into Breadcrumb and her little tiny pot belly. Instead, she just made him want her even more, and that impatientness kicked in.
Get lost. My house is built from reconstituted rubber bricks, virtually indestructible.
He could huff, he could puff, and he could ram the door, but he was not getting into that house. So he went back to what he was good at, and led Breadcrumb into believing that he wasn't a threat. But when she arrives at the wolf's house, she figures out he is indeed a threat. Breadcrumb's squeal of terror was enough to alert Deli that the girls was in trouble. But not nearly as much as the wolf. Unbeknownst to him, she was an expert at Taekwondo pig dough, and soon commenced beating him senseless. Deli soon arrived and was shocked to see that her girls was dealing with a wolf, but was amazed with how they dealt with him. In the end, Emerald apologized for stealing Deli's wigs. Barbecue learned it didn't matter what you weighed, but still stayed skinny anyway. And Breadcrumb kinda learned to not go off with strangers. And Wolfgang became Deli's secretary. And later down the road, the girls became backup singers for Deli, and eventually went on to form their own group, called the Honey Ham Girls.
Suckling pig, smoked hog, and whole roasted piglet.
Geez, those names were unnecessary. Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of Furry Profiles. If you liked today's video, please leave a like, a comment, and subscribe for future videos. My name is Jailbreaker, and I thank you for watching Playfur Cinema.